I like this. I worked hard on this one just to make sure. This is very good discussion. I'm very sure you will be in circles that this discussion will happen. This guy who put it in, I liked it. Some of them I do not agree with it, but I put it in for you anyway. But it's mandated to have field inspection using a public, transparent infrastructure that is rigid, successful, and cost-effective. That's how this CalGreen was put together. The other one says that significantly reduces the carbon output, saves property owners thousands of dollars in green certification. And believe me, in projects that I've been dealing with, owners do not want to put extra money. So what did I do? I took the debates that those guys had, I put them in different tabular form in different colors. Question of development process and transparency. Number one, LEED has one. He did not call it LEED. He called it a point-based systems rating, because there is GPR, the other guys too. So this one says state code, put it together. Because it is a state, everybody gets to know. They cannot hide. If there is a debate, because of the ANSI process, they have to have a process that's very transparent. If I don't like this section of the code, I have to go back. Joe sends me an argument. Joe's statement has to be publicized through the internet. Everybody has to know it. Everybody has to talk about it, and then they vote on it, right? There are problems with it, but that's the process. With regard to this, they do not go through the ANSI consensus. The second one is that the guidelines is primarily, if you're a member, you've paid your $400, $200, whatever dollars, then you can talk. Versus the other one, the general public can go to ICC or California board and have the comments. Participation in development. The problem that you have is that I actually wrote to a league. I said, hey, by the way, I'd like to be in such and such a committee. They said, we got 5,000 of you guys. We don't need you. So in this particular case, the issue is that they are an open public process. They could get 10 million comments and 10 million people, hypothetically, but they cannot say no because the public has a domain. And I, as a public, have gone to Baltimore and commented on some certain products. The collaboration that they have is multiple, because really you cannot, especially if you're mandated and it's going to be certainly it's going to be inspected by the building and safety. The major issue is that you better get everybody involved. I was in some of the processes and questions and answers from the head honchos, so it's there, and they are right. Most of the point-based systems are committee members within committee members, and that becomes a little bit of a headache. Environmental verification of the compliance. I do have this problem. I go out there, I promote this particular building in Rodeo Drive, I simply now, it is me. It is just Psalm, and they have to trust Psalm. I was looking for all the legal papers to find out what are the ramifications of lawsuits against Psalm. I think Psalm will get into major headache if someone doesn't like the word Psalm. Because they will go there and someone say, I believe you made a boo-boo here. So if you're a lead AP, you could carry liability. It has not been tested by the courts yet. But I believe you find another nerd like Psalm, he can sue this nerd Psalm, and then guess what? You'll have another movie called The Nerd 4, right? The major issue is that I do believe that lawsuit has not been born. It can be born. It can be raised, and it can be there. I just have not seen it. But I do see the lead AP attorneys writing articles, very good ones, by the way, which are all scary, right? So just imagine, now, if the city actually identifies, field inspector has seen it, this is a second eye, it gives you some frame of reference that this city authority with certain hierarchy, etc., has seen it. It gives you a frame of reference. Does it take you out of a lawsuit? No. But it gives you one more measure of format. Now, certification, they are absolutely right. For the first time in this article, the word lead comes in, and it shows it costs anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000 for a LEED certification. So those are there. Local adoption, they do allow statewide, for example, if you're in Northern California versus Southern California, you do have some variations, and through city ordinances. How does a city change a code? Anybody? A city can adopt. Okay, the state adopts a code. Okay, let's say the electrical code is the National Electrical Code is National Electrical 7. They adopt a code. You buy it for $50. Then the state adopts it, gives it to these guys, puts some of their amendments, and they sell it to you for $170. Somebody gets money, right? But the state has adopted that code. The major issue is some cities say, I don't like that section. How do that section is either another section is added and or deleted? Anybody? City ordinance. You go to the library of that city, all of the city ordinances are there. I've done a lot of court cases, cities, and I've gone to litigation on sound, right? If you check out, I wrote the acoustics for Aspen, right? You will see it. Every city, the sound ordinance is different. I can shout, by the way, I have a very loud voice. I am somewhere around 55 to 60 decibels. So I'm talking to Joe, someone thinks on the other side of his fence can call the police. Say, Sean is at 62 decibel. He's 2 decibel more than the code allowed on my property line. Some cities are 65, and certain cities are 55, and some cities have a time evaluation from this time to time, parties, etc. So if you're in Newport Beach or you're Dennis Rodman, you always get the police. How does the police come and knock on his door? Excuse me, sir, based on city ordinance or so and so, you were at 68 decibel. That's how you get arrested. Something you get to know just because of Dennis Rodman. But anyway, the major issue is that I have done some cases in Newport Beach. Membership required in order for you to be involved? The answer is no. You can be involved in CalGreen, but with the others, you have to be members. $200 or $400, $500. And for companies, it's very expensive. Very expensive. Units of measures. The major issue is, do you know the difference between standards, codes, and guidelines, and manufacturer's specifications? If you don't, please know it. You will see Jacobian Myers. It's a major, major issue between all those. Code is what you have to use. The standards is a reference that code used. A guideline is nothing but a guideline, and who cares? But if the guideline is more stringent than the code, you will use the guideline because the nerd will sue you. Right? What is the specification by the manufacturer? The manufacturer wants to put all the things in the world, right? So you ask this manufacturer, why do you have this? I mean, the water heater manufacturer, and you simply say, you have to feed the water heaters. You know what type of water you have to use in a water heater before the manufacturer can sue the manufacturer of the water heater? Avion. You have to pour Avion and take a shower with Avion so that it has that type of calcium and that type of thing. If not, the water heater manufacturer says, excuse me, you can't sue me. Look, my specification said so. And 99% of the manufacturers actually don't work. Because if you want to use it to the specification, so be careful. That's your major, major cover yourself. So that's the measures. Now, point-based system uses guideline, gradual implementation of different green practices. Now, statutory is a guideline you will use, is a basis, a foundational law. You will use it, you go to a federal or state code, and then point-based system is non-governmental, private, and can you be sued? One item that I brought up when I was teaching LEED was this. You promised me silver, and you gave me certificate. You promised me platinum, you gave me silver. Who gets sued? You wrote a contract with the guy that I'm going to go for platinum, and you gave him the silver. right? Guess what? That is a good lawsuit. I'd love to be in that lawsuit. That thing will go forever. So imagine that, because that's where the guidelines are. Rationale for that is that you have the adoption of the code, the greenhouse reduction, that was your form. Actually, to be honest with you, LEED and all the other point-based systems have the same thing, and they are very, very similar. You cannot use that much comparison. Now, comparison of the codes and programs for housing, etc., the major issue is that they're absolutely right. If you look at the history of the other groups, you will find out in certain cases, they're here. On commercial, they're here. On neighborhood, they're here. They're still in 2007 code, 2006 code. The primary reasons, they don't have the human body, they're not making money out of it. I don't know, something is wrong. It's like I got these series of cars and I'm not selling this, so this car will never be updated. They'll never get the body, because it's still old paint. It'll be a Model T. And that's really because I can see the point rate system, etc., for everyone is different. Here, say no, residential, non-residential, they all have the same format. You don't have one for hospital, one for residential, one for ID, one for this. You can see all the variations. And guess what? For everyone, you have to take a test. And for everyone, you got to buy a different book. So they're promoting that they are not there. Additional book, $39 or so from the state ICC. You can download it for $49. You can buy it. For them, it's like $150 if you take this test, $180 for that test. So you can see it adds up, especially in this particular economy. Integrated with California with other regulations. They have really tried. There are ambiguities. But it's not been tested. So just watch out. You can find gray elements between the codes and the green code, but point system, there is no correlation with the code. Format of the instructions, well, I don't agree. Code language is Greek on its own. So we have to, through all these seminars here, but guess what? Point system was Greek as well. If you see some of the guidelines, I still don't understand it. So the major issue is that the format of instructional material, they're doing their best, but both of them to me are Greek.